Hi there, Dr. Rajeev Iyer here with more secrets on how to be successful as an international medical graduate doctor in Canada. Here, I'm going to tell you how you can be a specialist doctor in Canada without repeating residency all over again. The good news, you do not have to be a Canadian citizen nor be a permanent resident in Canada. There are two major options for IMGs to practice in Canada. Number one is a province-based specialist with hospital-specific license. Option two is the Royal College Certified Specialist. The Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons in Canada provides three options for IMGs. Number one is approved jurisdiction. Number two is practice eligibility route. Number three is subspecialty examination affiliate program, abbreviated as SEAP. Whether you go through the province-based pathway or the Royal College pathway, a license to practice medicine is required, and this is issued by the state medical boards, which in Canada is regulated by different provinces. It is helpful to address this topic based on your country of origin. Let's say you're an IMG from a low middle income country like India, China, Brazil, Pakistan, Bangladesh, etc. A province-based specialist is a great option. Now, I am from India. I moved to Canada as a fellow. I have seen so many IMGs who are now successful in Canada based through this province-based specialist pathway. I'm going to use the example of an IMG whom I personally know really well. He's from India. I'm going to describe his pathway using the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Ontario website as an example. This IMG from India entered Canada, particularly Toronto, in 2013. He then underwent a program called PEAP, which stands for Pre-Entry Assessment Program. So when I moved to Canada as a fellow, I had to do a similar thing. This, at least the time when I was there, was an informal assessment program. There is no exam, there is none of that, but this is just the hospital saying, okay, we observed this person for somewhere between 4 to 12 weeks. He understands the system, he's good to go with us, so he can continue and do his clinical fellowship. I have seen one IMG from India who actually couldn't complete the process, and there may be other IMGs from other countries as well. However, the success rate to clear the PEAP is very, very high. So you shouldn't be stressing about this. This IMG then went on to do multiple fellowships. After 3 years, in 2016, he got a job in one of the hospitals in Ontario. The way this works is the initial hiring will happen in a big university hospital as an assistant professor. So this person was hired as an assistant professor with a license restriction saying he can only work in that particular hospital. The license actually comes from the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Ontario in this example. But then if you're an IMG practicing in other provinces of Canada, then the license would come from that province. So as you can see here, there are two steps to this process. One is getting a job as an assistant professor in a hospital, and the second is getting a license. The most difficult part of this process is actually getting a job. Once you secure a job, the hospital will support enough to make sure you do get a license. It's very unlikely someone would be denied a license after getting a job, because the hospital hiring would have done their homework on this IMG doctor to make sure it satisfies the requirement of continuing to work in Canada. Does that make sense? If you have any questions, post in the comments below. Alright, so once this person is hired as an assistant professor, the hospital typically gives the IMG doctor 7 years. During these 7 years, the hospital sets some criteria in terms of the academic achievements that this IMG doctor has to do. Essentially, this will involve being active in research, coming up with research ideas, writing grant proposals, being successful in grant, although it's not a mandated step, it's always desirable to be successful in grants, writing abstracts, presenting in national and international conferences, writing manuscripts, publishing manuscripts, and so on and so forth. So essentially, they evaluate the candidate based on these academic achievements. Usually after about 5 to 6 years, as this IMG doctor is going through this process, in those 7 years, the chief will continually evaluate the candidate, usually like every 6 months to a year, make sure they're on track. They would be given a mentor who is an experienced person who can help this IMG doctor, so they turn out to be successful. Ultimately, the hospital wants this person to be successful. This is a situation where both the parties benefit, the IMG doctor and the hospital. So the hospital usually makes sure they give enough support in terms of moving on to the next step. The next step is the promotion of this person to become an associate professor. Now the hospital which takes these IMG doctors happen to be big universities. So these are academic positions, meaning they have positions like an assistant professor, associate professor, and a full professor. Usually at about 6 to 7 years, the IMG doctor will be promoted to an associate professor, assuming they do all the requirements. Now this IMG doctor, the example of whom I'm using, actually got promoted to an associate professor just last year. So I was very proud to write a letter for him saying he meets all the requirements to be promoted as an associate professor. I actually had a conversation with him recently and congratulated him about that. Interestingly, I asked him if he had to write the Medical Council of Canada examination. And you know what? He actually did not have to write the exam. Isn't that cool? So now the benefit is, of course, you did not have to repeat residency, but also you did not lose any of your valuable time. The pay of a consultant or an attending physician is a lot more than what the pay during residency and fellowship is. That's a topic for a different video. If you're wondering how you can be successful in a pathway similar to this, the first step is you apply for a clinical fellowship in Canada. This could be any province. Once you do this, you get into the Canadian system, then you spend a few years in Canada as a fellow. In my experience, this has been an average of 2 to 3 years, but sometimes some of the hospitals have prolonged the fellowship of at least one of the person I know from India who is a surgeon to 5 years. So he ended up doing 5 years of fellowship, but ultimately was successful in the province-based specialist pathway. Once you're successful in getting a job as an assistant professor and then get promoted as an associate professor, you should be set. You're free to move about anywhere in Canada, and your license then becomes unrestricted, meaning you can work in any hospital in Canada. It is initially those 7 to 10 years that is difficult, rather not difficult, but you're kind of restricted to one hospital. But after that, you're free to move about in Canada. Although it's likely that people end up staying in the same hospital because those hospitals tend to be reputed universities. The selection into this is based on a bit of luck and the time you're in Canada and the specific needs of individual hospital. The only drawback of this pathway is you can never be Royal College Specialist eligible, meaning you will not get a FRCPC or an FRCSC degrees. Well, it really doesn't matter because at the end of the day, you will still continue to work as a specialist physician in Canada with an unrestricted license. And I have not come across anyone having a problem because they're not Royal College certified. If you know of any, do post in the comments below. You can check the status of any doctor in Ontario, whether they're practicing now or whether they have stopped practicing, by using this link that you see on the screen and is also in the description below. The second category is if you are someone who has had a specialist training in a developed country, now you can directly apply to the Royal College to be a specialist in Canada. The Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons of Canada has approved a few countries outside Canada and the USA where the training is similar to Canada. Royal College provides 3 different options. Number 1 is the approved jurisdiction route. Number 2 is the practice eligibility route. And number 3 is the subspecialty examination affiliate program, which is known in short as SEAP or SEAP. Here is the confusing part. There are certain countries and only certain specializations that is eligible for the approved jurisdiction route. You can check your country of origin and your specialization through a link that you see on the screen, and I have also left the same in the description below. Here is a list of countries eligible for the pathway: Australia and New Zealand, Hong Kong, Singapore, South Africa, Switzerland, UK and Ireland. So essentially, your training outside Canada should be through one of the Royal College approved accredited programs in your home country. And the second thing is your length of training should be equal to the length of training in Canada. This depends on each specialty, because some specialties have a longer training duration as compared to the others. In order to apply for this pathway, you go to the Royal College website that I have left a link in the description below and create an ID and then submit all your documents there so the Royal College can then assess your documents and then approve you to say whether you're eligible or not for this pathway. Once you're eligible, you get 5 years to complete this Royal College examination. I have seen some IMGs from India specifically and other countries who actually have stopped over in UK, who have done their specialist training in UK and then have come to Canada. I even have some close friends who have done that. And in my experience, they actually have been successful in being a Royal College specialist in just a year or two. I have seen this happen in anesthesiology, which is my specialty. And I'm sure there are other specializations as well in which the IMGs from these countries have been successful to be a Royal College specialist. The second Royal College pathway is a practice eligibility route. The Royal College website is a little not clear about the details on this particular pathway. I wrote an email to the Royal College asking further clarifications about this. I have not heard anything from them yet. It's been a few weeks since I wrote them an email. But if I hear anything from them, I'm going to update this in the comments below. Essentially, this involves two different things. So one is evaluation of your training, which has to be equivalent to Canadian training. And second is evaluation of clinical work. The first step starts by you applying to see whether you qualify for this pathway. The website to apply is physiciansapply.ca. Link in the description below. You click the link and follow the steps in order to complete the process. The expectation is you submit all your documents, which includes your medical training, your specialist training, medical degree transcript, specialty certification, medical license or training. Transcript is a document that many medical schools or colleges do not provide. For people trained in India, like me, we don't typically require a medical school transcript unless we specifically request for this. This is a very easy process. There was a formal application that I had to make to my medical college and they were able to give it to me in a very short span of time. This might be the same case for you. In addition to all this, you have to clear the Medical Council of Canada examination if you apply through this pathway. There are some specific reading materials for this that you can refer to. I have left a link in the description below. The next major step is you take the Royal College exam. Once everything is through, you're going to receive eligibility for writing the Royal College exam, and you will again have 5 years to complete this exam. The exam will have two parts, a written part and an applied part. The format is similar in the USA as well. This exam is taken at a Royal College Center in Canada. There is one last step in this pathway, that is evaluation of your clinical training. Your clinical work will be evaluated by a specialist in your particular specialization, and this clinical work has to be at least 2 years in Canada. You have completed your training assessment, your Royal College exam, your practice assessment, and now you pass your exams. Voila! Congratulations! You are now board certified by the Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons of Canada. It's a long pathway, but if you're eligible, it's worth it because you're not going to repeat your residency all over again. This pathway is a pretty expensive gig, at least at the time of recording this video. I see on the website that the expense can run up to $7,000. So do check the website for the most recent information on how much it costs for this pathway. At the end of the day, I think it's still worth it because then this is going to give you Royal College certification. The final Royal College pathway is the SEEP or the Subspecialty Examination Affiliate Program. For this pathway, you have to apply for training assessment at the website you see on the screen, and I've also left this in the description below. Now, this confers you subspecialty specialization, but not the primary specialty. Here is an example. Let's say you have completed your internal medicine residency and your cardiology, either super specialization or fellowship from your home country. You're a practicing cardiologist. Now you apply to the Royal College to say if Canada will let you in directly as a cardiologist. In this case, you don't have a Royal College certification as an internal medicine specialist. This is when this pathway is applicable. Now here's the confusing piece. Although you become successful and be a subspecialty specialist, but you will still not get a Royal College certification in this pathway. So this pathway seems to be an exception to the rule. Can be pretty confusing at times. But hopefully I have made this clear for you. If you have any questions, always post in the comments below. A similar path program exists in the USA, and this is called the Alternate Entry Path Program, where you can be a specialist doctor in the USA without repeating residency all over again. I have a video specifically made for that, and I do recommend you check it out down in the description below. Do check the link out to see how you can be successful in the Medical Council of Canada examinations without putting a lot of effort, but do a smart preparation. Take care, stay safe. I will talk to you soon.